Hey everyone, welcome to the Movie Throne. I'm your host, the one and only King Kansas, here to bring you another movie review right here on our YouTube channel. And yes, I sound excited. I am excited because I finally had the chance after 10 years, believe it or not. Yes, you heard me right. 10 years. It took me this time to finally see Conan the Barbarian that stars Jason Momoa. It came out 2011. It's rated 18A, so it's not for the kids. Trust me. There's nudity, violence, blood and guts, you name it, the works. It's an hour and 47 minutes long, from what I gather, guys. It's classified as an action adventure fantasy, and it's directed by MARCUS NISPEL. Cast, because I got to get through this, guys. Jason Momoa, of course, plays Conan. Ron Pearlman, believe it or not, plays his father, Corin. You got Rose McGowan, which surprised me, plays Marique. She's the daughter sorceress who kind of sees these visions for the warlord, the bad guy, played by Stephen Lang. He plays Kaller or Kali or Zim or something. I can't even pronounce his damn name, but he plays the bad guy, and boy, does he deliver. Rachel Nichols plays Tamara, who becomes his love interest down the road, but she's also of this pure blood that everybody wants to get their hands on, especially the warlord, because he has plans for he needs her for something. Let's just say that. We'll get into details later. Rachel Nichols, guys, if you guys don't know, she played in G.I. Joe, the first one, so she's the redhead Scarlet. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. Bob Sapp plays Yukafa. Stephen O'Donnell plays Lucius. It's the guy that you'll see that kind of loses a bit of his nose, which is funny. Anyways, Nanzo Anozoi plays Artis, his friend that he meets later when he grows up. Rod Rawi, I hope I pronounced that wrong, he plays Fasir. You got Layla Roos, plays Fiala. Syed Tagmoy plays Elashan. He's like the thief that Conan ends up returning or getting the favor back, in a sense, because he saved his life, but we'll get to that. And Milton Welsh, who plays Remo, Mr. First Class right-hand man to the bad guy. In my books, guys, he's the douchebag. Okay, brief synopsis. This is, consider the non-spoiler portion, guys. So here it is. A vengeful barbarian warrior, played by Jason Momoa, sets off to get his revenge on the evil warlord, played by Stephen Lang, who's attacked his village and murdered his father, played by Ron Perlman, when he was a boy. So that's kind of spoiler, but that's pretty much the brief synopsis. And man, I'll tell you guys right now, I went into this with low expectations, expecting the worst, because I seen the original, I guess the first 1, 2, and possibly 3, if you count Red Sonja, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and those were like epic and on their own level. This is a total different take of Conan. I don't know if this is based on the comic book series more than what we got with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it was refreshing to see. More story-driven, explaining how Conan became Conan, his earlier years, right up to when he grows up, and he's on his quest. He hasn't become king of the whole area yet. He's working towards it, which is great. It doesn't start off him as King Conan and we went from there. No, it explains what happens to his family, what happens to him next in his life, how he meets possibly the love of his life. I don't know yet because he kind of leaves her there. Let's just say that. But anyways, well written. Special effects were good. Scenery was fantastic. All the actors bought into it. You believe Jason Momoa as Conan the Barbarian, guys, and I'm telling you right now, I don't think there was one part of this film, except for one, that I was really bored. It's only like an hour and 47 minutes, but I didn't find it boring at all. It was good. It keeps you on your toes right to the end. Was the ending a letdown for me personally? A little bit, but nothing to kind of say, you know what, I hate this movie, don't watch it. But I can honestly tell you, you got to watch it. Like, it took me 10 years to watch it. Hopefully it didn't take you that long. And hopefully you've seen it by now. If you did, Leave your comments in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts, guys. I want to hear what you guys have to think about this. Do you think this should have spawned a second sequel or a sequel? Sorry, second sequel. A sequel to it? I think, you know what? As much as I hate to say this, I think I might be tempted to watch a sequel if there's ever one, which I don't think so. I think this project's long gone and dead. Momoa has moved on to Aquaman and other better things in his career. But definitely, I would say it's a must-see. You know what? If you got a couple hours to kill on a Saturday or Sunday, watch it for yourselves. I would recommend you guys checking it out. And like I always tell you guys, watch everything for yourself. Don't listen to all these critics who, you know what? I don't know. Maybe they're so set in their ways of kind of like bashing movies here and there. They don't really appreciate what some of these movies are. And some of these movies are just popcorn movies. Like, not too much thought or whatever. But in this one, it's more than just a popcorn movie. It kind of, like I said, it's plot-driven, story-driven, and it develops the character somewhat. Yes, there should have been some scenes that are cool. The baddies look good, But like I said, for the time, it gets a pass from me on my part. So I kind of liked it. So there you go, guys. That is my movie review on Conan the Barbarian. I hope you guys liked it. Like, share, and subscribe. Check out my other reviews right here on the Movie Throne, my other content. Whatever you got to do so. And now let me give you guys a quick spoiler. Some details of what I liked about the movie to give you ideas why I liked it. From the opening scene, guys, here are the spoilers. Put that in the corner. From the opening scene, when you see his mother dying on the battlefield, getting stabbed with little Conan in her stomach. And Ron Pearlman has to basically, at the request of his wife, Conan's mother, I want to see my son before I die. And he has to kind of further cut her open to kind of present her Conan. And she names Conan Conan. I was like, are you kidding me? Holy shit. Then it picks up 10 years later that Conan's training and stuff. And he takes out a whole bunch of guys by himself, carrying an egg in his mouth. There was a little, if you want to hang with us warriors, you got to do this. And Conan does it while holding that damn thing in his mouth without it cracking and taking out the baddies, which those same baddies work for the guy who is the villain of the story, who comes in and burns the village later. So it's kind of like a first circle there. And of course, that idiot, typical fashion, kills Conan's father in front of him. And Conan manages to survive. And of course, like any basic story, guys, he's any kid who survives something that's traumatic, he wants revenge, and he wants the guy or person or people who are responsible for his father's death. So that's what happens. Conan grows up. He ends up becoming his own kind of like warrior in a sense, getting a reputation, getting his own gang, crew that kind of like to free and liberate people in his area there. And then eventually he bumps into Rachel Nichols' character that he kind of, like I said, he protects her at first, doesn't know what to think of her. And then she kind of saves his life. So, of course, when you save each other's lives, you fall in love with each other. So that's what ends up happening. And it goes from there. She possesses the old blood that the villain of the story wants to get because he wants to bring his dead wife, who was burned by the priests that were protecting this character, played by Rachel Nichols. I think her name is Tamara. And that's what happens. He ends up protecting her. And then, of course, she gets captured because she decides to go when he's sleeping. And that's a bad idea. In the middle of the forest, gets snagged by the bad guys. And of course, what does Conan have to do? Because he loves her, for God's sakes, he has to go rescue her. So he ends up going to meet up with this thief that he saved earlier in the film to return a favor because he needs them to break into this palace so he can rescue her. And that's when you get this kind of like monster thing with tentacles that they have to fight a little bit. And then he ends up going into a cave where he confronts the baddies, which uses the blood of Tamara there, and it puts the pieces of a puzzle or whatever, a mask together and brings it to life. It looks like a crab, let's just say that, guys. He wears it, gives him possessive powers, and with that powers and with the help of his crazy daughter, which she gets her thing, man, I'm telling you, she ends up getting kicked off the cliff, gets impaled by a spike, and her hand get cut off. So that's pretty cool. And then, yeah, there's like a fight scene that they're in this, looks like a well, I want to call it, guys, a pit, okay? And she's basically tied up to it tomorrow. And they're fighting over her while this thing is spinning back and forth and shit, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen a lot of that. A little bit of comedy, a little bit of action, but well done. And then, of course, he gets his comeuppance, man. He ends up getting defeated by Conan. He rescues her, pulls her out. You can see, like, there's a couple of cool parts that she looks like she was getting possessed and stuff. But she ends up, snapping out of it. He ends up taking her back to her home, I guess. Leaves her there, says his goodbye. And then, of course, he makes a trip to where his house is from, or his father's, where he remembers in flashbacks, of building the sword that he now possesses, his father's, which he's carrying around. And not to say that Conan ain't going back for Tamara, Rachel Nichols' character, but trust me, there was a sequel. That's probably what it end up going. Like, he'll further travel, and then I'm assuming that she'll be in trouble again, and you'll end up going back to kind of rescue her, and that's how they would do a sequel if they decided to. But there you go, guys. That's some of the highlights. Fight scenes were crazy. Back and forth, flashbacks were cool. Not too many, which is great. Little lulls here and there in the plot, but that's just typical. The only downfall for me, guys, if I have to say anything bad about this film, is that it just follows your simple equation or formula of bad guy kills good guy's father, and then he goes out to get revenge, meets up with a girl, she gets into trouble, and then he saves her, and they live kind of happily ever after, and that's kind of like what this formula is. That's the only negative I can actually say about this, but overall, I liked it. I was really surprised. For me to wait 10 years to watch this, I think it was worth the wait, and I think you guys should see it. So there you go, guys. That's my quick spoiler portion review of this movie, Conan the Barbarian, starring Jason Momoa, Ron Pearlman, Rose McGowan, Stephen Lang, and Rachel Nichols. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, share, and subscribe. Check out my other amazing content right here on the Movie Throne, and I'll see you guys hopefully next week with another movie review. So until then, be the hell good.